There's something about setting a goal that feels both exhilarating and daunting. You visualize the outcome, take the first steps, and then resistance. Maybe it's doubt creeping in, maybe it's external challenges piling up, or maybe it's just the sense that you're not quite aligned with what you're trying to create. What's missing? Is it effort, timing, or is there a deeper rhythm to reality that you haven't fully tapped into yet? To answer that question, let's start with a fundamental truth about existence. Everything vibrates. At first glance, this might sound abstract, but modern physics reveals its profound implications. Consider the subatomic level, the realm of electrons, protons, neutrons, and photons. These aren't static objects, they're dynamic systems in constant motion. Electrons, for instance, don't orbit nuclei like planets around a star in neat, predictable paths. Instead, they exist as probability clouds, occupying regions of space defined by wave functions. These wave functions describe the likelihood of finding an electron at any given point, and they oscillate at specific frequencies. Photons, the particles of light, are even more intriguing. They're quantized vibrations of the electromagnetic field, essentially ripples in the fabric of space-time itself. Even matter, which appears solid and stable, is composed of these vibrating particles. The mass of an object arises from the energy of its constituent particles, as described by Einstein's famous equation E equals mc square. In essence, matter is condensed energy, and energy vibrates. This means that everything, from the tiniest quark to the largest galaxy, is part of a vast symphony of motion and vibration. So what does this mean for you? It means that your thoughts, emotions, and actions are also forms of vibration. Every thought generates electrical impulses in your brain, creating patterns of neural activity that resonate at specific frequencies. Emotions, too, have their own vibrational signatures. Fear, for example, vibrates at a lower frequency than courage. Anger resonates differently than peace. When you feel stuck or frustrated, it's often because your internal state is out of sync with your desired outcome. By raising your vibrational state through practices like mindfulness, gratitude, or focused intention, you align yourself with higher possibilities. This isn't metaphysical speculation. It's grounded in how energetic systems function. Just as sound waves can shatter glass when they match its resonant frequency, your thoughts and emotions can amplify or dampen the outcomes you experience. But alignment alone isn't enough. Manifestation requires action, and here's where the interplay of opposites becomes crucial. Life thrives on balance, on the dance between giving and receiving, doing and allowing. Too much force leads to burnout. Too much passivity results in stagnation. Think of it like planting a garden. You prepare the soil, which is the action, plant the seeds, that is setting the intention, and then nurture their growth without obsessing over every detail, which is nurturing trust. Both effort and surrender are necessary, as they're the two sides of the same creative process. This balance is easier to maintain when you recognize that life operates cyclically. Challenges arise, but they're not permanent. Seasons change, tides ebb and flow, and emotions shift like weather patterns. Understanding this rhythm helps you navigate difficulties with grace, knowing that every low point precedes a rise. Resilience isn't about avoiding discomfort, but learning to flow with it, trusting that even the roughest storms eventually give way to calm. Resistance often stems from clinging to one side of a spectrum, fear instead of courage, doubt instead of faith. But opposites aren't enemies, they're expressions of the same essence. Fear and courage, joy and sorrow, success and failure all exist on a continuum. Mastery lies in shifting between states consciously. If you're overwhelmed by anxiety, focus on cultivating small increments of calmness. Over time, these adjustments compound into profound transformations. Life becomes less about avoiding discomfort and more about navigating it skillfully. Behind these shifts is a deeper truth, the patterns repeating across scales. The structure of an atom, for example, bears a striking resemblance to the solar system. In both cases, smaller entities orbit a central body, bound by forces of attraction. In atoms, it is electromagnetism. In solar systems, it is gravity. Similarly, the branching of trees mirrors the flow of rivers. Trees grow outward in fractal patterns, optimizing their ability to capture sunlight. Rivers branch into tributaries, distributing water efficiently across landscapes. These similarities aren't coincidental. They reflect the underlying unity of nature. Recognizing these correspondences allows you to see connections where others might see only chaos. Your inner state influences your outer world, just as external circumstances shape your perspective. And awareness of this symmetry empowers you to move through life with greater purpose. And then there's the causality, the idea that every action produces consequences. Reality isn't random. It's governed by intricate webs of cause and effect. And the mastery of it involves moving from being affected by causes to becoming a deliberate creator. So instead of reacting impulsively, pause and consider, what ripple am I sending into the world? What harvest will my actions yield? These insights aren't arbitrary. They're the reflections of universal laws articulated in the Kybalion. This ancient text distills timeless wisdom into 7 core principles, including the ones we've explored: vibration, polarity, rhythm, correspondence, and cause and effect. Together they form a map, not a rigid blueprint, but a flexible guide for navigating existence. They teach us that life isn't arbitrary but purposeful, shaped by invisible laws we can learn to harness. Whether facing setbacks, pursuing dreams, or seeking peace, this wisdom reminds us that mastery begins within. By understanding ourselves, we come to understand the universe, and vice versa. So what does this look like in practice? Imagine waking up each day attuned to these truths. You set intentions, balancing effort with surrender. You embrace challenges as part of life's rhythm, knowing they'll pass in time. You transmute fear into courage, doubt into faith, recognizing that both states share the same root. You act consciously, aware that every choice sends ripples outward. And through it all you remain connected to the greater whole, seeing correspondences between microcosm and macrocosm. Still, life holds mystery, uncertainty, and struggle. But armed with this understanding, you no longer feel powerless. The journey becomes less about controlling outcomes and more about aligning with the flow of existence. Success isn't measured solely by achievement, but by harmony with yourself, others, and the universe. Ultimately, this wisdom invites us to live deliberately, not reactively. It reminds us that reality isn't something happening to us, but something we participate in creating. And in that participation lies freedom. The freedom to shape our lives, fulfill our potential, and contribute meaningfully to the unfolding story of existence. As the Kybalion teaches, the universe is mental, vibrational, and interconnected. A truth that empowers us to manifest our desires and navigate reality with clarity and purpose. Thank you for joining me on this journey through interconnectedness and flow. If these ideas resonated with you, consider subscribing or following along for more explorations into the rhythms of existence. Until next time, stay curious.